Joining us now, Mike Mayock. You can hear Mike every week on the Believe in Eagles podcast with Lee Mayock. Mike, thanks for joining us again.
My pleasure. How you guys doing?
Doing
What's
good,
up,
man.
Mike?
So, Mike, we wanted to ask you, you as a former general manager in the National Football League, you as a former general manager in the National Football League who has dealt with a wide receiver who is, I don't know, a little different out there. If you were, let's say you are running the Eagles right now and you see the A.J. Brown stuff, which has continued to go and go and go, not just the on-field stuff, but the off-field stuff, Twitter, all that stuff. How do you want that handled?
Well, I mean, the wideout I had to deal with makes this guy look like nothing.
That's a good point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my guy showed up with burnt feet from a cryogenic chamber in Paris, France, and came into training camp in a hot air balloon.
Little different than a tweet. Yeah.
Yeah, before he wouldn't wear any of our helmets because he didn't like them and wanted me to spray paint his Steelers helmet and let him wear an illegal helmet. So we're dealing with some different stuff here, right, guys?
For sure, yes.
Yes.
So what's really important, I think, is from an organizational perspective, general manager, head coach, you got to sit down and have a conversation about what we're doing here. And I think part of it starts with we got to sit down and get on the same page with this guy. There are a lot of wideouts in this league that are divas. There are. It's just part of that position. And the best ones, their ego drives them, and I get that. So what I don't like is all the passive-aggressive tweets and everything. And I'm probably old school, but my message to my coach would be kind of like, look, we got to tell this guy point blank, and he's got to say, I agree, and this is how we're going to handle it going forward. If he has a beef with the head coach, the play caller, the quarterback, he's got to deal with that guy directly. No more passive-aggressive tweets. No more going to the papers and the radio. We're going to keep this in our building, and we're going to do this like men, face-to-face, one-on-one. And if we need to get together as a group and talk this through, we will. But you need to kind of get your hand on this before it gets much further because, you know, it'd be a shame at 4-0 to sit there and start talking like at the trade deadline you're going to move on the best wideouts in the league. That makes no sense.
Right.
Okay? So I think the important thing is to just try to get it handled over the next few days, get everybody coming out of there man to man. Just look at these guys in the eye, have a real conversation. What I learned about most players, not all, but most, if you're honest with them and you're face-to-face with them and you tell them what you need to have happen and you let them express how they feel in that closed-door meeting, usually good things happen.
And then at a certain point, when you say that, you know, when you say this is how we're dealing with it, and it happens again, at some point there has to be a consequence, right? And I think it's interesting because I think we're all on the same page now in Philadelphia in that we all agree A.J. Brown is a great player who should get the ball more than he's gotten it. We all agree. And then we also all agree that this stuff, the Twitter stuff, the comments, doesn't help anyone. If the second thing keeps happening, there has to be a consequence to that thing, right? If you're going to have that conversation and say, this is how we're doing it, at a certain point, you have to figure out, okay, well, what if it doesn't go the way that we're hoping?
If it doesn't go the way you're hoping, the thing that you're hanging over his head is that you're a 4-0 team heading for the playoffs and maybe another Super Bowl run. And do you really want to go back to, who knows, any team in the league because you don't have a no trade?
Right.
Okay? Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, it's a process. And I think he's a pretty intelligent guy. And I think he's got to understand that when you look at the process, there's a lot of little things going on right now that's keeping that pass attack from being any better, or I should say more consistent. And I think it starts with the pass protection. That's not his problem. It's not Jalen's problem. And it's really not Patullo's problem. Mm-hmm. You know, he's got to understand there's other people that have to do their jobs in order for him to get as many catches as he wants. Mm-hmm. And he can't just isolate it and be upset and go public with everything. It's got to be handled man to man. And he's got to know at the end of the day, it's probably a lot better here in Philly than where you might end up.
Yeah. Ooh, man. When you look at that game last week, Mike, first half looked like they had some things going offensively, right? I thought Todd Bowles came after him with pressure like we knew they would. Jalen handled it well, got the ball out quick. Offense scored 17 points, I believe. They had 24 to have. I think 7 of it goes to the special teams. But Jalen was 15 of 16, 130 yards. So I thought they were doing some good things in that first half. And then you look forward to coming out and seeing a little bit more of it in the second half. And the offense pretty much stalled the entire second half. What did you see that was so much different from what they did in the first half to the second half?
So if the glass is half full, the upside glimpse you got was back-to-back high-level halves.
Yeah.
The Rams number 2 and Tampa Bay number 1, where they went 32 for 40 for like 340 and 5 touchdowns or something, okay?
Yep.
That's kind of an upside glimpse, but it's also sandwiched between 2 of the worst halves we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Right? So my point is with the process is that it's a little bit at a time. So if the glass is half empty, and I'll tell you what, I watched the tape, and what bothered me was that even in the first half where he was, 15 or 16 or whatever, they had 7 pass protection breakdowns, free runners, guys getting jacked back into his lap. Okay. I mean, without Jalen Hurts and his legs, it's nowhere near 15 for 16 and all the yards they gained on the ground. Nowhere near it, okay? Because the pass protection wasn't real good. And what I would tell you about pass protection for any quarterback, I don't care if it's Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes, if you don't trust your pass protection, bad things start to happen. So I think the second half was kind of the residue of the first half. Even though it kind of looks good on paper, I didn't think it looked that good on tape. And my point is, from there, what happens? Well, they start forcing the ball to number 11. And by that, I mean, I think they're predetermined. He's coming out of the huddle, and he's throwing it to 11 without reading it out. And once you don't read it out, then the basic infrastructure of the whole offense starts to fail, okay? Because there were several where he tried to force it to 11 where 6 was wide open on dig routes or someone else was wide open, okay? So, but if you don't trust pass protection, you don't read it out because you don't think you're going to have the time to read it out. Your eyes come down. You're trying to get out of the pocket. You're trying to run. So I don't think it's just Jalen or just Patullo or just A.J. Brown. To me, this all starts with pass protection and being much more consistent with it. And it's no different than the run game. The run game's got to get better, and the continuity's got to be better there, too.
Yep.
Yeah, so I was going to go to that because if you're talking about the problem with the pass game being pass protection, we've all, this team was built on the run game last year, and we're sitting here with Saquon Barkley without an explosive play and with averaging 3.1 yards a carry. I guess my question on the offensive line is, we are now, we're 4 games in, and the offensive line is all but one player is the same personnel as last year, the same offensive line coach. And I know Landon Dickerson has been injured, but at what point do you start to say to yourself, okay, maybe this offensive line just is not as good as we are used to, where you're, or do you think that they are close? Is it a block here and a block there, or is it something where it is consistent in which you wouldn't have sort of that hope that it would improve?
So I told you guys after week 1 that I was surprised at the pass protection and that I thought Landon Dickerson was still hurt.
Yep.
So I would tell you that I don't think it really is the continuity of having 4 of the 5 guys back because Lane Johnson's been in and out of the last 2 games. The left guard's playing hurt, in my opinion. The right guard was getting jacked into Jalen a few too many times. So when I look at the whole picture, including the run game, I do see some improvement. And I think 26 is just as explosive as he was last year. I don't buy into the he had 400 touches and he's not as good theory that I've heard out there because I watch him on tape. He's young. He's in the prime of his career. This dude's explosive. Has he read everything correctly? Maybe not. Are the runways, the lanes as big as last year? No. But I do think they're closer right now than they were in week 1. So I'm cautiously optimistic about the run game.
Okay. That's positive.
Yeah, it is.
That's positive.
Mike, the defense, you look at the yards on Sunday, and it's 370 some yards, and they gave up a couple of big plays. But to the eye, the great game that Quinyon Mitchell had, as great as Zach Bond looked, it sort of felt like the defense played one of their better games, all things considered, and that is trending in the right direction. Did you see the same thing when you watched?
Yeah, I did. And Quinyon's playing his tail off. Cooper DeJean's playing his tail off. You know, the group I work for, Sumer Schwartz, that does all the analytic studies, just released a all-pro team for the first 4 games. And it's way too early, right? But the 2 off-the-ball linebackers were Zach Bond and Jihad Campbell. And do I think Jihad Campbell is the number 2 linebacker in the league? No, I don't. But he's made some plays, and he's getting better. That defensive line, you know, do they have to be a little bit more consistent rushing the quarterback? Yes. Baker Mayfield did some nice things, man. He's really good. He's better than people think. But to your point, yeah, the defense was really good. They had 2 hiccups that they rarely had. What, a 77 and a 72.
Yeah.
Watching the tape, you know, Jihad got beat on an extended play by a heads-up play by the running back and the quarterback. And that happens every once in a while. So I'm with you guys. I think the defense is good and trending heavily in the right direction, and they're just going to keep getting better.
So we have the Broncos on Sunday. What do we have to worry about with the Broncos? It's been a weird season for them. They were a pretty popular pick before the year as the team, you know, one of the teams to beat in the AFC. What have you seen from the Broncos, and that this matchup? What should we look out for?
Yeah, you know what? I think their best football's ahead. Young quarterback, second year in the league, in Bo Nix. They beat 2 crappy teams, Tennessee and Cincinnati, and they lost to 2 good teams, Indy and the Chargers. And they haven't won a game on the road yet. And their kickoff is at 1 o'clock, which is, 11 a.m. their time, Mountain Time, I guess. That's a hard turnaround for any team coming from the West Coast. So from my perspective, I think this is a tough game for Denver, but I do think you're going to get their best effort. Offensively, the kid doesn't take many sacks, but he puts the ball up in the air, and you can speed him up a little bit. The key is you can't let him run the football. Their 2 running backs are averaging over 5 yards a carry, and they're good backs. And that's what Sean Payton wants to do. Run the ball, play action, play good defense, and don't make mistakes. And the problem on the 2 losses is the quarterback's thrown 4 interceptions, and they're -2 turnover differential. So you can't let them run. You got to get them in 3rd down, and then you got to hurry this quarterback up, all of which I think they can do. Defensively for Denver, they've got 15 sacks, which I think is number 2 or 3 in the league. You got to block their edge guys, Benito and Cooper. By the way, there is a Philadelphia homeboy in this game for them. The starting tackle is Mike McGlinchey. He went to Penn Charter High School. He's Matt Ryan's cousin and John Lockery's nephew, 2 other guys whose names you might know. So anyway, there's a little Philly thing, but I do believe that the Eagles should win this football game, but they still have to they got to bring a game. They got to bring a good game.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. We appreciate it. Always love your the view from at the beginning of the call, the view from the former GM. And as much as you watch tape, man, I hope you have an extra couple hours in the day because there's a lot of studying going on there, man. A lot of studying.
I was cursing your ass out last night when I was putting that last tape in. I'm just telling you.
Mine? Why?
Because I was tired of watching tape. I got to watch the college guys. I was like, oh man, I got the Eagles hitting.
Sorry, man. You're nothing.
You got to be prepared, is what he's saying.
Yeah, yes. You are nothing if not prepared. So I appreciate that, Mike.
Thank you, brother.
All right.
Always enjoy it.
All right, thanks, Mike.